To introduce myself, David Hudgens. This is my second term on the board. And I'm sitting in this chair today because the chairman has a health issue that he is taking care of. So I'm going to call the meeting of the State Air Pollution Control Board to order. At this time, I'd like to introduce and welcome two new board members, Crystal Basic and Ron Jefferson. Ronald Jefferson. Ron. That's good. And would you like to say something?
I'm just honored to be here.
You always have something to say, so don't disappoint me.
It's an honor to be here.
If Ms. Dominich would like to introduce herself, let her do it. And anybody that needs to be introduced, no. Also on the dais is Michael Roban, our director, and legal counsel from the Attorney General's Office, Eric Lansing. So we're all prepped. I want to remind everybody that in the regular business meeting of the board and any conduct that interferes an orderly and efficient meeting or interferes with the rights of others to speak to the board is prohibited. Now we'll proceed with the agenda. We're going to review it and approve it. Okay.
Does anyone make a motion?
Right. Let me get my book open. I'm sorry, but this was sprung on me like it's been sprung on y'all.
So the agenda is actually underneath it. They give you a new agenda updated. It's on the underneath your notebook.
All right, got it. All right, we're going to approve the agenda.
Make a motion to approve.
All right, so we're going to approve the agenda and make it a motion. So, Ron, do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? It's approved. All right, the next item on the agenda is election of the vice chair. Any nominations?
Does someone have to nominate me, or do I nominate myself? Okay, thank you. Sorry, we got to work on the agenda stuff here. I nominate myself, Emily Dominich, for the vice chair position.
All those in favor? Say aye.
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 Oppose? Congratulations. Easiest thing you've ever done.
So easy.
All right, we're going to review and approve the minutes next. Does anybody have anything?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I don't believe there was a second. We need to have one.
All right,
I second
To
it.
that vote.
I second.
keep me straight. Second, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? So moved.
A little harder the second.
All right, we're going to review and approve the minutes.
I think I have to take over for you now.
Okay, go.
So now we'll review and approve the minutes. Let's see, those are on tab A of your book. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved. Approve.
A second?
Wrong.
I'm going to be abstaining since I'm new, so.
I guess then it's just us, right?
Yep.
I guess I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Trying to talk in the microphone, just a point of information, but it won't turn on.
Oh,
Okay. Just so everyone knows, Emily Beamer is Kimberly Beamer is also a member of the board, but she's on maternity leave. That's why she's on here.
thank you. So now we'll move to the electronic meetings policy. where we'll get a presentation from Mr. Lansing. That's on tab B of your book.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The tab B is a draft policy that the Office of the Attorney General has prepared in consultation with staff from the Department of Environmental Quality. This policy is a lot like life insurance. It's something that everybody wants to have, but nobody wants to use. And we really do discourage members from trying to use it, even though it's perfectly valid to. And the main reason for that is that if you were ever to remote dial in to a meeting, you would not be counted for purposes of a quorum. So it's nice to be able to have, and you're entitled to use it when there is a quorum physically assembled and when other criteria are met. But we would discourage that because it makes it more difficult to reach a quorum. So please do, by all means, try to be here in person. But if you can't, this is sort of a last resort option that is possible for you. There are a lot of details in how this is implemented, and I won't go through them because if I did, everyone would forget them all anyway. So I think that probably the biggest thing just to emphasize is if the board intends to adopt this policy, and if a board member ever decides to remote dial in, it's important to let us know as soon as possible. Let me know, let Jill, the board coordinator, know, and let the chair know. And that way we can just jump through all the right hoops to make sure that we are legally and validly admitting someone to dial in remotely. This policy also allows what's called all virtual meetings. I think that's also one of those sort of last resort life insurance policy kind of options. It's something the board has never historically done, but this at least gives the board the ability to do that if it wishes to do so.
Do you want to point out that you have to redo it next year?
Oh yeah, that's an important point. Yes, these policies by law have to be adopted annually and readopted annually. So my encouragement to the board would just be to readopt them at the first meeting of every year. That makes it harder to forget.
So would your recommendation then be that we vote on this policy today, and then if we adopt it, we readopt it in our next meeting?
Yes, exactly.
Thank you. Are there any questions from any members of the board? Is there a motion to adopt this policy?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay, in that case, we'll move on to a vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Appears the motion carries. Thank you. All right, so now we'll move on to our final exempt regulations, where we'll get a presentation from Ms. Wack.
Good morning. My name is Julia Wack. I'm with the Office of Air Data and Analysis at the Department of Environmental Quality. Thank you for being here with us today. So the first regulation that we will be looking at is an exempt final, looking at federal documents incorporated by reference. So to provide some background, the Clean Air Act allows EPA to delegate implementation and enforcement of the following programs to states. We have the New Source Performance Standards, or the NSPSs, the National Emission Standards for Hazardous Air Pollutants, or NESHAPs, as well as the National Emission Standards for Hazardous Air Pollutants for source categories, which are the Maximum Achievable Control Technology, or MACT standards. EPA reviews its standards every 8 years to account for improvements in air quality as well as improvements in pollution controls and prevention. States must demonstrate the ability to implement these programs. The authority to states is delegated by letter, and Virginia has been delegated authority from EPA. It's important to note that the regulated community in Virginia is already subject to these standards. However, by incorporating by reference, DEQ is enforcing these requirements instead of EPA. The board needs to incorporate new standards for DEQ to obtain enforcement authority from EPA. Otherwise, enforcement authority will remain with EPA. These current standards also reflect the most current technical research such as reporting, record keeping, and test methods. In today's action, we're looking at updating the Code of Federal Regulations, or CFR, book date, references to July 1st, 2025. We're adding one new NSPS, or New Source Performance Standard, as well as updating titles and section references as needed. In case you're wondering why we're looking at this date, July 1st, 2025, for Title 40 of the environment, the annual CFR runs from July 1st to June 30th each year. This publication date is why we're looking at updating it to July 1st. Moving on to the new NSPS. We have an NSPS for volatile organic liquid storage vessels. This will apply to VOL storage vessels and petroleum liquid storage vessels that have commenced construction, reconstruction, or modification after October 4th, 2023. So VOL storage vessels refers to large storage vessels that store volatile organic liquids across a variety of industries. While Virginia has chemical plants in the oil and gas industry, we have no petroleum refineries. So we can anticipate potential impacts to chemical plants and portions of the oil and gas industry. Normally, we cannot predict site-specific impacts with NSPSs. However, since October 2023, in Southwest Virginia, there is a permit for an asphalt tank heater. The regional office has been made aware of the applicability from our air compliance team. To further review the amendments, there is a new subpart KC. So this is what applies to vessels that have commenced construction, reconstruction, or modification after October 4th, 2023. This new subpart KC reduces vapor pressure applicability thresholds, as well as adds VOC standards to reflect the best system of emission reduction for affected vessels. It also adds degassing emission controls and clarifies startup, shutdown, and malfunction requirements, as well as additional monitoring requirements and other technical improvements. The revised subpart KB has a revised heading to clarify applicability, so it reflects the change in applicability through October of 2023. It also adds electronic reporting requirements. All right. So moving on to MACT, or Maximum Achievable Control Technology, which evaluates hazardous air pollutants for specific source categories. We're looking at revising the CFR citation for subpart Quad X to capture the entire CFR citation to cover any and all changes in the annual CFR. Specifically, this adds guidance on notifications, reports, records, and other requirements to information related to rubber tire manufacturing emission standards. After discussion with our air compliance team, we've identified one potentially affected facility, which is the Goodyear facility in Danville. I'd also like to shout out our communications department for providing this photo for us. This is actually the facility in Danville. So looking at the adoption process, this action is necessary to meet the Clean Air Act requirements, as well as for Virginia regulations to not differ from EPA regulations. These standards must be met regardless of who has enforcement authority. Potentially impacted facilities would prefer to report to DEQ inspectors and not have to also report to EPA. Before we move on to the department recommendation, I'd like to ask if any of the board members have any questions. Okay.
Thank you.
Hearing none, I'll move forward to our recommendation. The department recommends that the board adopt the proposal with an effective date that's consistent with the Administrative Process Act. In adopting this proposal, the board affirms that it will receive, consider, and respond to petitions by any person at the time with respect to reconsideration or revision as provided in Section 2.2-4006B of the APA.
Thank you. With that, barring any further discussion, is there a motion to accept the staff recommendation on this action?
So moved.
And a second. Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? With that, the motion carries. Thank you. And we can move on to our next agenda item, which is the fast track regulations piece. Thank you
Thank you so much. I don't know if you guys can see the
Now we can only see you.
presentation.
There we
Okay,
go.
awesome. So the second regulation that we'll be discussing today is a fast track regulation, and it revises the definition of volatile organic compound. To provide some context, the Clean Air Act requires that EPA establish the NAAQS, or the National Ambient Air Quality Standards, for criteria pollutants, one of which is ozone. Ozone, otherwise known as ground level smog, develops when volatile organic compounds interact with nitrous oxides as well as sunlight. Tropospheric or ground level ozone is formed in those conditions, and it is a harmful air pollutant that can lead to respiratory problems. And so this is importantly different from stratospheric ozone. VOCs are defined by EPA based on their reactivity. Of the thousands that are out there, only those that are listed by EPA are those considered not reactive or volatile. Virginia's list of non-reactive VOCs coincides with EPA. To clarify the delisting process, any party may petition EPA to delist a VOC. However, they must make a strong scientific case that that volatile organic compound is negligibly reactive. This is done by comparing the reactivity of the substance to that of ethane, which is a relatively stable substance. It's important to note that this is a discretionary action. It's not required that states align with EPA's list. However, DEQ finds it necessary for consistency purposes, as EPA's list is up to date and scientifically accurate. This action could also encourage the use of a less reactive substance by making it easier and less expensive for the industry to use. In February of 2014, DuPont Chemicals and Fluoroproducts submitted a petition to delist substance HFO-1336-MZZ-C. So they submitted this petition with the understanding that the substance has a relatively low atmospheric lifetime of around 20 days, and it is negligibly reactive as a volatile organic compound. It's also not toxic, so it's a non-hazardous air pollutant, and it's not expected to contribute to ozone depletion. EPA's analysis and public comment also coincided with all of these data points, and EPA issued a final exemption rule that was effective January 28th, 2019. The board meeting in September 2023 exempted substance HFO-1336-MZZ-E. However, during the public comment period in March of 2024, DEQ received a letter from the Household and Commercial Products Association, or the HPCA, which is a U.S. trade organization representing 240 companies in manufacturing. They let us know that the HFO-1336-MZZ-C was not a part of Virginia's list. So that's kind of why this action is coming a little bit late, but thank you to HPCA for letting us know that. A little bit more about the substance. So HFO-1336-MZZ-C provides greater insulation at a lower global warming potential. It was developed for the purpose of decreasing energy consumption throughout the insulated foam life cycle. It's used as a replacement for foam expansion and blowing agents. After discussing this with our air compliance team, DEQ realized that there are about 45 Virginia facilities that can potentially benefit from the delisting of this VOC, 19 of which are small businesses. At this time, there are no known facilities using this product. However, these facilities are able to potentially benefit from the use of this substance as it allows them flexibility and the potential to expand their businesses while remaining under the 100-ton per year threshold. So facilities using these solvents in the state are predominantly using them for foam and insulation production, as well as shipbuilding and refrigeration. So predominantly these facilities are located in the western part of the state, as well as in the Hampton Roads area. Today's action, we are looking to add HFO-1336 MZZ-C to Virginia's list of substances that are not considered to be volatile organic compounds. So today we're looking at a fast-track adoption process. And in the Administrative Process Act, Section 2.2-4012.1, agencies may use the fast-track rulemaking process for regulations that are expected to be non-controversial. The reason that this action is expected to be non-controversial is that there has been substantial scientific study as well as test methods utilized by EPA in their determination that there is a negligible contribution of this substance to ground-level ozone. Therefore, it's anticipated that there will be no further information on its reactivity or the appropriateness of its delisting. It will also undergo a public comment period in the state of Virginia and then be reviewed again by EPA. And even though we know that there are no facilities at this time that are known to use this substance, if any impact, it would only have a positive impact on air quality. Before I move on to the recommendations, does anyone have any questions?
I just have one question. You said it'll have a positive impact on air quality. Is that because this substance would displace other substances that have more impact?
That's correct. This substance was developed because it has a lower global warming potential than the alternate substances that are currently being used in the state.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
Ma'am, just out of curiosity, this started in 2014, so you're saying that to pass a regulation like this, it takes 11 years?
So actually, EPA finalized this delisting in 2019, and then DEQ delisted a similar substance, HFO-1336 MZZ-E, at the 2023 board meeting. So the difference is that the substances are so similar that we actually missed HFO-1336 MZZ-C. We only included the -E. So during our public comment period, that was when HPCA brought it to our attention that we missed this substance. So we're going back and making this action, but no, in theory, it should not have taken this long.
Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah, I'd just add there, I think, this allows us to look at this from a fast track process because it's been reviewed and like very significantly publicly available for almost over a decade now, so.
HPCA also emphasized that it's important for interstate commerce, being that there are other states that are currently having this substance delisted. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. No further questions? Great.
Okay. So the department recommends that you authorize DEQ to promulgate, oops, I must have moved forward a slide. I apologize. Authorize DEQ to promulgate the proposal for public comment using the fast track adoption process established in the Administrative Process Act, Section 2.2-4012.1, for the regulations that are expected to be non-controversial. The board's authorization constitutes its adoption of the regulation at the end of the public comment period, provided two things. First, that no objection to the use of this fast-track process is received from 10 or more persons or any member of the applicable standing committee of either the House of the General Assembly or the Joint Commission on administrative rules, as well as DEQ does not find it necessary, based on public comments or for any other reason, to make changes to this proposal. Further, staff also recommends that the board authorize DEQ to set an effective date 15 days after the close of the 30-day public comment period, as is outlined in section 2.2-4012.1 of the APA. Provided that, one, the proposal completes the fast-track rulemaking process as provided in section 2.2-4012.1 of the APA, and that DEQ does not find it necessary to make any changes to the proposal.
Thank you. Appreciate the staff recommendation. Is there a motion to accept that staff recommendation from the board?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? With that, we'll move ahead with our vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? With that, the motion carries.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. It was a really substantive presentation, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
We can move on to our next agenda item, which is the report to the board regarding controversial permits from Mr. Dowd.
Good morning. My name is Mike Dowd. I am the Director of the Renewable Energy Division for the Department of Environmental Quality. And I'm going to talk for a few minutes this morning about what are known as controversial permits. Virginia Code Section 10.1-1184-1B provides that at each regular meeting of the State Air Pollution Control Board, DEQ shall provide an overview and update regarding any controversial permit pending before the department. A controversial permit is defined by law as, among other things, the construction of a new major source or modification to an existing major source, a new fossil fuel-fired generating facility with a capacity of 500 megawatts or more, and a new fossil fuel-fired compressor station facility used to transport natural gas. Immediately after the presentation, the board shall have the opportunity to respond to my presentation and, if it wishes, provide comments regarding the pending permits. Okay, now, the first pending controversial permit I'll mention is the Major Source PSD permit application for Dominion's Chesterfield Energy Reliability Center, sometimes referred to as CERC, which I've briefed the board on at several previous meetings. As you may know, CERC is a proposed 1 gigawatt, 4-unit simple cycle natural gas turbine power plant that would be located on the site of Dominion's existing Chesterfield Power Station. The public comment period for the project is closed, and DEQ's response to comments document was posted last week before Thanksgiving. There will be a response to comments public hearing as required by law on December 10th, starting at 4 p.m. at Thomasdale High School. DEQ will determine whether or not to issue the permit sometime after the December 10th hearing, but no firm date yet has been set for that decision. The second pending controversial permit I mentioned is a minor source permit application for Mountain Valley Pipeline's Swan Compressor Station. The Swan Compressor Station is part of MVP's Boost project to increase the capacity of its natural gas pipeline. MVP proposes locating the compressor station on Cove Hollow Road in Elliston in Montgomery County. DEQ received the minor source permit application for this compressor station on November 3rd, and it is currently undergoing review in our Blue Ridge Regional Office. The project will consist principally of 2 natural gas-fired turbines rated at 52,500 brake horsepower and 1 natural gas-fired turbine rated at 3,200 brake horsepower. MVP proposes to control emissions from these turbines with air filters to reduce particulate matter, selective catalytic reduction, or SCR technology to control NOx emissions, and oxidation catalysts to control emissions of volatile organic compounds and carbon monoxide. Emissions are proposed to be 44 tons per year of PM2.5 and 55 tons per year of NOx. The third and final controversial permit I'll mention is for an Amazon data center that would be located on Oric Lane in Woodford in Caroline County. DEQ received the state major permit application on October 14th, and it is currently under review in our Northern Regional Office. Now, this permit application is significant because it is the first state major air permit application DEQ has received for a greenfield data center. And just to clarify a term of art, a state major air permit is a permit that allows a source to emit more than 100 tons a year of any pollutant, but less than the PSD major source threshold of 250 tons a year that's applicable to data centers outside of the Northern Virginia ozone non-attainment area. Now, this Amazon data center will be comprised of 306 Tier 2 backup generators that will be controlled by selective catalytic reduction technology to control NOx. The data center project is proposed to emit about 10 tons a year of PM2.5 and 235 tons per year of NOx. Any questions or comments on any of the projects I just mentioned? Okay, well, if not, then I will roll into my final director's report. And this is actually my final State Air Pollution Control Board meeting. I will be retiring at the end of the year, and I was thinking about not giving a report, but Mr. Rolban suggested I do with some charts, and I'm trying to figure out what the, oh, gee, did I just mess things up here? There we go. Okay, I have 3 charts that show the drop in air pollution emissions and ambient air pollutant concentration since 2008. Now, why did I pick 2008 to start with? Well, because that's the year I became air director, 17 years ago. This chart shows the total emissions of PM2.5, sulfur dioxide, oxides of nitrogen, and volatile organic compounds. It shows a nice downward trend for total SO2 and NOx emissions, and smaller but real decreases in VOCs and PM2.5 emissions as well since 2008. That chart is a little deceptive. It shows, it appears to show an increase actually in PM2.5 emissions. That's not really the case. The number is higher down there because inventory, the method EPA used for calculating inventories actually changed to include more things like wildfires and things like that later on. But actually we have had decreases in PM2.5 over the years as well. Likewise, there has been a significant downward trend in ozone, high ozone days throughout Virginia since 2008. I don't think we ever figured out why ozone concentrations crashed in 2009, but you can see they went right back up again in 2010. 2009 was a real outlier. But since 2010, they've decreased nicely since then over the years. And finally here, getting back to fine particulate matter, PM2.5, the concentrations of PM2.5 have decreased substantially as well since 2008. Now, over the past couple of years, for the first time, all Virginia's air monitors have recorded ambient concentrations of all criteria pollutants below EPA's National Ambient Air Quality Standards. The Clean Air Act and the Virginia State Air Pollution Control Law have been an incredible success in reducing air pollution, and I have been privileged over the past 17 years working with a wonderful staff such as Tom Ballou, Tamara Thompson, Chuck Turner, Mike Kiss, and of course Karen Sebastiansky over there, who is also joining me in retirement at the end of the year as well. We're all helping to implement Virginia's clean air program over the years. I mean, you know, the charts show clearly we've made great progress over the past 17 years, but many challenges do remain. Old problems recede, but new ones arise, and old troubles we thought we had conquered, raise their ugly heads again. And I would say that the challenges confronting DEQ and the Air Division and the Air Board today are really as daunting as the ones we faced when I became Air Director in 2008. The issue of climate change isn't going away anytime soon. And tackling climate change has become more complicated over the past few years on account of skyrocketing electricity demand projections resulting from new technological innovations, especially surrounding artificial intelligence. How we meet this new demand for energy in an environmentally responsible and equitable manner, I think will be the biggest test of the Air Division and the Air Board that we'll face over the next few years, perhaps the next generation. But I'm optimistic. I hope that within perhaps the next 20 years, one of my young colleagues sitting over here will be standing at this podium addressing a future Air Board and telling them how they have met and overcome those challenges I just spoke of. I thank you very much for your attention, and any questions, comments, be happy to entertain them. Otherwise, thank you.
I just want to say one thing, that, I've been blessed 4 years being here, and Mike Dowd in particular has really helped run DEQ, in particular the air agency. Just anytime there's been an issue, he knows how to solve it. So he's going to be greatly missed. I may or may not be joining him in retirement as well.
Thanks. Thank you, Mike. I just want to take this moment to say thank you for all your help as I've been serving on the board. I think it's a short period in your long tenure here with DEQ. Obviously looking at the charts that you put up, you can see the work that's gone in from you and your team to improve the air quality here in Virginia, which I think is most highlighted by looking at the huge economic growth we've seen in the Commonwealth in the time that you have been in this role. That is going to continue, and it's our responsibility here at the board and with the team at DEQ to ensure we continue to meet that high standard. And again, congratulations on achieving attainment before you managed to get to your retirement. So I actually thought you were going to retire after the last meeting, but wonderful to see you one more time here today.
I had actually set that kind of as a joking goal for myself back several years ago. I'm not going to retire till we reached attainment, and by God we did, so I guess that meant it was time to go. So
huge congratulations, and thank you to you for your service.
Thank you very much.
With that, we have closed the majority of our work here today, but I want to just inquire with the staff if there is anyone signed up for our public forum.
No one has signed up at this point to speak during public forum.
Thank you. Moving on then, we have a question about our future meeting schedule. If there's anything we need to cover before we adjourn.
At this point, there is no future meeting scheduled. I will be in contact with you all when it is time to schedule the next meeting.
Thank you. Before we adjourn, I just want to say thank you to our newest board members. Thank you for joining us. It's always difficult to find time and make time, but appreciate the opportunity to serve with you and serve here in the Commonwealth. So, with that, do I have a motion to adjourn our meeting today?
So moved.
Thank you. Do we need a second for that? Oh, do I need a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. We're adjourned.